I'd actually like to start by saying something very simple. Thank you. Thank you to you, our party, our members, our supporters, the people who week in, week out, do the work, take the flak, but don't often get the credit. Thank you, the Labour Party, for giving me the extraordinary privilege of leading you these past 12 years. Thank you. I know I look a lot older. That's what being leader of the Labour Party does to you. Actually, looking around, some of you look a lot older. That's what having me as leader of the Labour Party does to you. Nobody knows that better, of course, than John Prescott, my deputy these last 12 years, author of Traditional Values in a Modern Setting. I may have taken New Labour to the country. It was you that helped me take it to the party, so thank you. And something I don't say often enough, thank you to my family. To the children. To Cherie. I mean, well, at least I don't have to worry about her running off with the bloke next door. Sorry, just couldn't resist that one. And it's usual, of course, on these occasions after you thank the family, you thank your agent. And actually, I do want to thank my agent, John Burton, and through him the wonderful people of Sedgefield. You know, when I went to Sedgefield to seek the nomination just before the 1983 election, I was a kind of refugee from the London-based politics of the time. And I remember I knocked on John's door. He said, "Come in, but shut up for half an hour. We're watching Aberdeen in the Cup Winners' Cup final." And I sat in the company of the most normal people I'd met in the Labour Party. And they taught me that most of politics isn't about politics in the sense of meetings and resolutions, speeches, even parties sometimes. It starts with people. It's about friendship and art and culture and sport. It's actually about being a fully paid-up member of the human race before being a fully paid-up member of the Labour Party. But above all else, I want to thank the British people. Not just for the honour of being Prime Minister, but for the journey of progress that we've travelled together. Leaders lead, but in the end, it's the people who deliver. In the last few months, I've seen new hospitals like University College in London, the new Queen Elizabeth Hospital planned in Birmingham, Wiston Hospital in Knowsley, where I laid the foundation stone. But without the talents and dedication of the National Health Service staff, they would just be empty shells. It is their efforts which have cut waiting, improved care, transform and save tens of thousands of lives every day. Thank you. And we in government, of course, can help put in place the new academy in Liverpool or the groundbreaking education village in Darlington, which I visited recently. But it's the commitment and love of learning of the teachers and their pupils and the support of parents which have given our country the best educated children in our history. To them too, thank you. And what about this wonderful city of Manchester? A city transformed. A city that shows what a confident, open and proud people with a great Labour Council can do for themselves. So thank you. In 1994, I stood before you for the first time, and I shared with you the country's anger at crumbling school buildings, patients languishing, sometimes dying in pain, waiting for operations, of crime doubled, of homes repossessed, of pensioners living in poverty. And I told you of our dismay at 4 election defeats and how it was not us who should feel betrayed, but the British people. That such a speech seems so dated today is not through the passage of time, but through progress. In 1997, we faced daunting challenges: boom and bust economics, chronic underinvestment in our public services, social division, with millions living in poverty, including over 3 million children at that time. And more than all of that, a country culturally, socially behind, no black ministers, never a black cabinet minister. Parliament, supposedly the forum of the people, with only 1 in 10 women MPs. Gay people denied equal rights. Trade unionists able to be sacked for joining a trade union. Workers on £1.20 an hour legally. London, the only major capital city in the world without city government. Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, all run from Whitehall. Inner cities depleted, a refuge for the dispossessed. This was a country aching for change. And now, for all that remains to be done, just for a moment, dwell on what has been achieved. The longest period of sustained economic growth in British history. Mortgage repossession like mass unemployment, terms we have to be reminded of. The last NHS winter crisis, 6 years ago. Heart patients wait on average less than 3 months, cancer deaths down by 43,000. Today, you are more likely to see a new school building than a crumbling one. There are virtually no long-term unemployed. Today we ask, well, can we meet these ambitious targets on child poverty? Before 1997, the idea of a child poverty target would have been laughable. We have black ministers, and the first woman and then the first black woman leader of the Lords. Not enough women MPs, but twice what there were. A London mayor, thankfully Labour again. Devolution in Scotland and Wales, but not just this. Free museum entry that's seen a 50% rise in visitors. Banning things that should never have been allowed. Handguns, cosmetic testing on animals, fur farming, blacklisting of trade unionists, and from summer next year, smoking in public places. And allowing things that should never have been banned. The right to roam, the right to request flexible working, civil partnerships for gay people. And in 2012, it is London that will host the Olympic Games. Of course, the daily coverage of politics focuses on the negative. But take a step back and be proud. This is a changed country. Above all, it is progressive ideas which define its politics. That's the real result of a third-term victory. And there's the Tories, having to pretend they love it all. Bank of England independence, they never did it in 18 years. The minimum wage, they told us it would cost 1 million jobs. Help for the world's poor that they can't. Now they fall over themselves saying how much they agree with us. Don't lose heart from that. Take heart from it. We changed the terms of political debate. This Labour government has been unique. First time ever 2 full terms, now 3. So why and how? Because we faced out to the people, not in on ourselves. We put the party at the service of the country. Their reality became our reality. Their worries, our worries. We abandoned the ridiculous, self-imposed dilemma between principle and power. We went back to first principles, our values, our real values, those that are timeless, and separated them from doctrine and dogma that had been ravaged by time. And in doing so, we freed Britain at long last from the reactionary choice that dominated British politics for so long, between individual prosperity and a caring society. We proved that economic efficiency and social justice are not opposites, but partners in progress. We defied conventional political wisdom, and thereby we changed it. And around that, we built a new political coalition. The USP of New Labour is aspiration and compassion reconciled. We reach out not just to those in poverty or need, but those who are doing well but want to do better, those on their way up, ambitious for themselves and their families. These are our people too, not to be tolerated for electoral reasons, but embraced out of political conviction. The core vote of this party today is not the heartlands, the inner city, not any sectional interest or lobby. Our core vote is the country. And it was they who made us change. The beliefs of the Labour Party of 2006 should be recognisable to the members of 1906. And they are full employment, strong public services, tackling poverty, international solidarity. But the policies shouldn't. And the trouble was, for a long time, they were. In the 1960s, rereading the cabinet debates of In Place of Strife, everyone was telling Harold Wilson not to push it. It was divisive, unnecessary, alienated core support. And in the end, he gave up. But so did the public on Labour. Even in 1974, the Labour government spent 2 years renationalising shipbuilding, and the public spent 2 years wondering why. In the 1980s, council house sales had first been suggested by Labour people. It was shelved, too difficult, too divisive, and we lost a generation of aspiring working-class people on the back of it. In the 1980s, we should have been the party transforming Britain, but we weren't. And the lesson is always the same. Values unrelated to modern reality are not just electorally hopeless. The values themselves become devalued. They have no purchase on the real world. We won in the end, not because we surrendered our values, but because we finally had the courage to be true to them. And our